Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Up All Night and Are You Afraid of the Dark podcast. My name is Courtland, and with me is the sleepiest mailman that I know, Brandon. How you doing, Brandon?
Hey, Courtland.
Hey, sleepy mailman.
What if I talked like Peter the whole episode?
I would kick you off of my podcast, and I'd go online and find somebody else to do this with me.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame you for that.
There's no other option. If you talked like Peter, honestly, I probably wouldn't even be your friend.
I could barely do that for 2 sentences, and I was like, yeah, I gotta stop.
So how you been doing this week?
Been doing pretty good.
Anything interesting going on in your life this week?
No, nothing interesting at all.
Mine either. My life is really pretty boring. I know. I did start Diablo 3 up again, though. They just did a new season, so I've been playing some of that instead of editing. Yeah. That's why everything's been taking so long.
Oh, Diablo will do that.
Yeah, it's a very loot grindy game. You know, I've told you this before. When it first came out, I hated it. It was atrocious, and that's coming from somebody that loved Diablo 2. So I had high expectations, probably like most people. Games. They're so much fun. And then Diablo 3 came around, and I was like, yay, you know, just like everybody else. And then I played it, and I was like, this is garbage. It's not anywhere near as fun as Diablo 2. I'd rather be playing Diablo 2.
Yeah.
But you know what? They updated it. Blizzard did good. They updated it with the expansion and all that, and they fixed a lot of the issues I had with it, and I think it's a fun game again. Well, not again. I think it's a fun game now.
It's not shit anymore.
Right. It was shit, and then they fixed it, and now it's not shit, which is good.
Yeah, that's a happy ending.
And then they ruined everything with that announcement of the mobile game. What were they thinking?
They were thinking everybody's got phones.
Yeah. Do you not have phones? I don't know. I don't know how he says it, but it's very degrading, and I love it. So, how's your week going? Did you do anything?
I got the game Dreams on PS4. Have you heard of that?
Did that finally come out?
It's in early access.
It's been in early access for like a year now.
No, it's been in early access for like a month.
That's it? I've been seeing shit about Dreams on Reddit for like the past year, though, where people make other games in it and stuff.
Yeah, people have been, like, it's been around for a long time, but it's only been in open beta, I guess, for a month or so.
Oh, well, how is the game?
It's interesting. The thing is, like, a lot of the things that people have made so far are, like, recreations of other things.
Yeah, that's probably what I would try to do.
Which is really cool. It's really cool to, like, see it and be just like, wow, I can't believe you're able to do this.
Yeah.
But also at the end of the day, all that hard work you've put in, it's like, all right, this is a shittier version of this game.
Yeah. You know what, though? Like, I can't really imagine it because I don't know how the engine is and everything. Maybe is it just like a free download you can download?
No. It's like $30.
You have to get into it? Oh, fuck that. What am I, made of money? No. It reminds me of like Mario Maker.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Did you have Mario Maker when it came out?
Yeah, I had that.
Okay. Well, the second one comes out later in June, like the end of June or something. So I'm pretty excited for that. But it kind of reminds me of that because, you know, the first thing people do when they get Mario Maker is they just create their favorite levels from past Mario games.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah, there's a Mario 1-1 already in Dreams.
You know what? I think in Mario Maker, the first level that you were forced to make was Mario 1-1. So
you were forced.
Yeah, like, okay, now put the blocks right here where we tell you, and now you just made Mario 1-1.
I don't want to.
You can't play if you don't do it. Well, are you ready to get into this episode?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Well, Brandon and I just got done watching episode 9, The Tale of the Sorcerer's Apprentice. I thought this episode was pretty okay, I guess. It was alright.
Pretty okay, I guess. They should put on the back of the DVD.
It was like run of the mill, like middle of the road for me. I think it wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible.
On the scale of Hungry Hounds, which is the official Are You Afraid of the Dark review system,
Yeah.
it's
I think we'll probably use that forever.
pretty okay, I guess.
Yeah. I think it's better than Hungry Hounds, but like not as good as Super Specs.
Wow, okay.
I don't know, because some of the acting in it was really good, and then also some of the acting in it was the worst I've seen so far in the series.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how I felt.
Yeah, we're going to have to get to that.
Okay. So this episode starts with Frank in the Midnight Society. He's leading everyone to like something on the ground, and Eric says that it's a grave, and then David said someone probably buried their dog there. And Frank says, no way. There's only one reason anyone would come out here and bury something, and it's to hide evidence.
I bet my Michael Jordan rookie card we find a maggot-ridden corpse. Really?
And I'm like, yeah, right? I'm like, what the fuck, Frank? This is a kid's show.
Yeah, and he's got a Michael Jordan rookie card?
Yeah, how did he get that shit?
What the hell's he doing in the middle of these woods?
Why has he got these bunch of loser friends? He could go sell that card and just be world like rich and famous.
Yeah, shit.
But I'm just like, this is some visual shit, you know, like a maggot-riddled corpse. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's just like, hey guys, come see this bloody, bloated, black, disgusting, twisted.
This was a human once, and now it's dead, children. Dead. You know what dead means? It means maggot-riddled, eaten
Everybody's
corpse.
gonna die, including you and your mom and your dad.
Your dog.
Your teacher, she's dead.
So the kids all gather around this shallow grave, and they're just watching it for some reason. Like, they have their flashlight, like, flickering all around it, and they're just staring at a shallow grave.
What are they going to do if it is a grave? They're like, oh, yeah, there's dirt there. Somebody buried something there. Are they all going to get shovels and dig it up and see what it is?
I don't know. Do you think that they would have enough sense of responsibility to call the police?
No.
If that was a shallow grave, I would hope that they would find a new place to hold their meetings, because not only then are there wolves in the woods, but also there's somebody murdered somebody and buried their body in there.
Yeah, if they're not moving because there's wolves circling the campfire, then they're certainly not going to move because there's a psycho killer. The Midnight Society moves for no one.
They have their plot of land picked out, and they will not move for nothing.
They were there first. Everybody else can just get killed and... Yeah.
So as they're just staring at this shallow grave, suddenly, like, a figure with a fake skull pops up out of it. A Halloween decoration. Which I thought it was going to be one of the kids, but then I was like, no. What kind of kid would be like, yes, Nickelodeon, bury me in a shallow grave? Just for a small prank at the beginning of an episode.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
I was hoping it was. I was hoping it was Kiki. But it's not. It's just like a prop. And it pops up, and the kids all scream, and they run away. And Kiki pops out of a nearby bush and, like, gives Frank a high five. And they say, psych, in unison. It was really 90s. I loved it. Yeah. And also, Kiki's in her sweet denim overalls again.
The Kiki and Frank pairing is, like, a very... Like, I can see them being friends.
I could see it, too. Yeah.
They're both kind of jerks.
Okay, so the scene shifts to the kids sitting down at the campfire, and Kiki's saying how hilarious that was, and she makes fun of Eric in particular, who was the most scared. And she's holding on to the skull that was on the figure that popped out of the dirt. And she tosses it to her partner in crime, Frank, who gets scolded by Kristen because she says that was a cruel and immature prank. Frank says sorry, but in, like, a sarcastic way.
He's not sorry at all.
No, he's not. He says sorry for adding a little fuel to the fire.
Sorry.
Which I agree with Frank, because these kids they gather around to be scared by scary stories.
Yeah. The only thing he needs to be sorry for is adding fuel to the fire, because the only thing that goes in that fire is monkey bone dust.
Yes. Yeah, they don't have any accelerants except for monkey bone dust. But, like, they go to these woods to get scared from scary stories, so he shouldn't have to apologize for scaring the kids before the story begins. That's what they're there for. So
yeah, they don't seem to really want to be scared.
No, it seems like they don't like it.
They tell stories that aren't scary, and anytime there is something scary, they're like, oh, fuck this.
Fuck this shit. I'm out. I have diarrhea. Bye. Kristen slaps the skull out of Frank's hand, and it rolls over to Gary, who picks it up and says, "Speaking of fuel to the fire, who's going tonight?" And I was
What
like,
the hell? Constantly I'm questioning like how this club works.
Yeah.
And he's asking who's going. Wasn't it said in another episode that someone has to call a meeting when they have a story?
I don't know. Well, it was said in The Twisted Claw, which was technically the pilot, so I don't know. Maybe they just decided to change the rules since then. Maybe we just kind of filled in the blanks and we were wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, because it seems like, he's like, who's going tonight? And it's like, oh, the one who called you and said, hey, I've got a story.
Let's have a meeting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's the leader, so you would think that they would call him first. You know, I mean, they're
Right.
probably using his backyard.
They're not calling Kristen and telling her, hey, get Gary. I've got a story.
No, because she'd be late anyway.
Yeah.
So, Gary wants to know who's going to be telling the story. And with the setup that we had in the beginning, I was like, oh, it's probably going to be like a Frank or a Kiki story, right?
Yeah, same.
Because that's how it's been. But no, it's Betty Ann again. So we get Betty Ann as her third story, and it's her second in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fine with me. I like Betty Ann, so it was all right. I wouldn't really care who tells the story anyway, but...
No, but Betty Ann's my favorite.
I like Betty Ann enough.
At least they didn't have someone like, oh, Betty Ann, you haven't told a story in a while.
Yeah, but the beginning opening introduction thing, it didn't really have anything to do with the story, and the people that did it aren't even telling the story, so why did they do it?
And most of the pranks we've seen and things like that have been related to the story. Like, here's something from the story attacking you, or there's a camera taking pictures of you, like cameras that aren't in the episode at all. I guess that was kind of similar. But at least thematically, it had something in common.
This one doesn't have anything to do with the story.
Yeah, they just showed up to the meeting early to play this dumb prank.
Yeah. Like, I could understand it if there was a skull in the story, but there's not even a skull in the story. I don't know. Let's get into this, though.
All right.
Betty Ann grabs the skull from Gary, and she says it's me, to which Eric says, oh, another gore fest. Even though in the last episode, which was a Betty Ann episode, he said her tales were kind of gross, but always have a happy ending. He didn't say they were a gore fest.
No. He just makes up complaints about people.
Yeah, he does. He's an idiot. Nightly Neighbors was anything but a gore fest, so I have no idea what he was talking about at all.
Both of her stories so far weren't gore fests.
I mean, the goriest part about Tale of Laughing in the Dark was that pudding that got dropped on the ground.
Oh, God.
I know. Pudding flashbacks. So Betty Ann says, my story is a head of a different sort, which she says because she's got the skull in her hands, I guess.
Yeah, she just says some weird shit, like always.
She says, an ancient wizard's good luck charm. Pick it up and the world can be your oyster. But let the holder beware. This charm may be more than you bargained for. I don't know about that one. It doesn't really have much to do with the story, I don't think.
No.
No, not at all. I don't know what she's talking about. The kids kind of look interested but also annoyed at the same time. Then Betty Ann throws the monkey bone powder into the fire as the story begins. And we get Betty Ann's voice over a scene, which looks like a library or like a Washington monument or something. I don't know. It turns out to be the front of a school. She says that the story takes place today, but began years ago, which can be shown in writing since the screen shows us it's Linden High School in 1966. But I'm a little skeptical of it being in 1966 because there's none of that classical 1960s medieval music like in The Hungry Hounds. So
yeah.
Is it really the 60s? So Betty Ann continues. She says, in fact, it truly began centuries ago, but I'm jumping ahead. The camera moves into a school as there are just a bunch of lockers everywhere. Somebody's shadow can be seen running through the halls and through this really crappy room that just has a bunch of desks and chairs piled up everywhere. And finally, the person can be seen rummaging through their backpack for like a frying basket, one that you would put into a deep fryer.
It's weird.
And then it's got a stone, too, which I guess turns out to be more of like a ball. So I only seen it as a stone at the beginning, but it's pretty big. So anyway, they lift up their sleeves and they have a few tattoos of cobra snakes.
Really shitty looking tattoos.
Yeah, they are.
Like they were drawn on in Crayola marker or something. And
the color reminds me of the 3D glasses that I had as a kid back in the very early 90s where like Zeke wears in Zombies Ate My Neighbors, with one side being blue and one side being red.
Yeah.
It kind of looked like if I put one of those glasses on that I would see it in 3D.
Ooh, that would be a cool tattoo.
Okay, so after we get shown the tattoo of the cobra snakes, they take out that stone, they put it in the fryer basket, and they lift it up and they sploosh it into some water that's in a hole at the school for some reason. So is that like their sewage drain?
I don't know.
Gross.
Like,
what else would it be?
the basement or wherever this takes place is just like a cavernous, like, sewer system, like something out of the Ninja Turtles cartoon or whatever. It's just like a giant system of pipes and like waterfalls, and it's just...
You know what it reminded me of?
Yeah?
Not right now, but later on in the episode when they revisit this area. Spoilers. I mean, it happens. Come on. It reminds me of some of the places that they show. It reminds me of the first Nightmare on Elm Street. Maybe that's what they're trying to emulate, is like the pipe rooms of the school.
Let me ask you. I've never seen Nightmare on Elm Street.
I thought you did.
Is that entire movie shot in Dutch angles?
Is that where it's like
Tilted.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Yes, because
I don't remember.
Half of this episode is Dutch angles.
It is. I thought they were doing some odd camera work here. There were some things that I liked, and I noted it down later too. But I don't know. They do some interesting camera work in Nightmare on Elm Street, and you should watch it because it's a good movie.
Yeah, definitely.
There's some fun deaths and stuff.
I don't know if I've seen... See, have I seen any of... I've seen New Nightmare.
Yeah, I remember you telling me you've seen that one, but I guess I just automatically assumed that you'd seen the first one.
No, I don't watch good movies.
If you ever decide to watch them, the first one is good, the second one is shit, and the third one is good, and then the rest suck until New Nightmare.
All right.
So this person gets interrupted by some authoritative figures who are looking for them, because at this point we don't know if it's a man or a woman, and they wave their flashlight around and they say, "Oh, this way," and they run past the room that the person was in. And so the person that splooshed the fryer basket into the sewage system of the school slips by the dudes looking for him and then walks the other way. At this point, you kind of get like a little flash of the person, and it looks like a girl to me, just with the hair, but it was the 90s, so who knows?
Yeah, I don't know.
Their shadow runs across the front of the school, and then we're transported to present day.
Present day, 1992.
Yeah. We pan around a science classroom where there's just a bunch of kids and they're taking a test or whatever, and Betty Ann graces us with her voice again. She says that Dean Burkham was the kind of guy who blended in. He didn't have many friends, he didn't do sports, and he never joined anything. He just kind of was. And we're treated to some fun shots of all the kids that are taking the tests, like fading away and disappearing, while Dean is just still sitting there staring at his paper, or maybe he's sleeping. I'm not really sure. It's hard to tell. He then gets woken up or startled when his fat teacher walks over and just throws her hand out, demanding his test. It's really stupid. She just startles him awake and then whips her hand over and just, gimme, you know? It's stupid. Yeah. I hate her.
Yeah.
This teacher's the worst.
She's a lunch lady looking woman.
Yeah, she does not look like a teacher. And this is chemistry.
I was not buying her as a chemistry teacher.
I don't buy her as an actor.
I don't buy her as a human being.
No. Betty Ann then says that he wasn't so great with schoolwork either, as Dean is shown handing in his paper to this fat woman.
It sounds like he's not good at anything. His entire existence is pointless.
That's so mean of you to say.
Hey, Betty Ann said it.
Yeah, I guess. He just kind of was, you know. He was just there wasting space and air and stuff for all the other more important children of the school.
Yeah.
So that fat teacher snatches that paper right out of this boy's hands.
Yeah, it zooms right in on her face. It is terrifying.
She's not a good-looking woman. She looks it over, she shakes her head, and she says, "Mr. Burkham,
you are sinking to perdition."
I don't know what perdition is, though.
I don't know. Yeah, she probably could have worded it a little more clearly.
This is a children's show. She's like, I am very smart. I use big words that nobody knows.
She could just say, like, you are failing.
Yeah, because I'm sure Dean didn't know what the fuck she said either.
No, with those grades? Of course not.
The scene shifts to the hallway of lockers, and Betty Ann tells us that one of Dean's only friends is Alex. Though she was his complete opposite, they really connected and had a great friendship. But it was a friendship that was about to be put to the ultimate test. And here we can see Alex struggling with the lock on her locker, and Dean walks up to help her, and they have a little banter. She says, "Thanks, I'm useless today," after he unlocks it. And Dean says, "You? Ha! I just had another Crenshaw chemistry disaster today." He says that he studied hard for this one, but he just can't get it.
What do you think these two people connect on? Why are they friends? I just don't buy it.
I don't know. Because Dean reminds me of Eric Matthews from Boy Meets World. That's what I think he looks like.
You're not wrong.
I think I thought that back when I had seen this episode, back in the day. Although it probably came before Boy Meets World. I don't remember. Yeah, I kind of got glimpses of this episode from my memories, but also I had no idea where it was going. So it was a surprise to me, too. I don't know how they connect, because you got Eric Matthews on one hand, and then Alex. There's nothing really distinct about Alex. I guess she would be like Dean's opposite, though. So she's smart, and she's pretty.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of another fictional character to compare Alex to, because she's not. I don't want to say she's uninteresting because I liked her, but it's kind of like Amanda from Lonely Ghost, where she's just kind of typical girl.
She's just kind of there.
Yeah, even though she's the hero of the story, kind of.
Yeah, once again, you think the character they first introduce you to is the main character, but it's not.
Yeah, especially when Betty Ann talks about him so much.
Yeah.
Like, he's the lovable loser. He can't do anything right, and you just know that he's going to get better, and he's going to save the day. He's going to redeem himself, but he really doesn't.
No.
This is a theme for this show, is that they build up one character, and then they don't do anything with it, and then the side character becomes the main hero of the story. Except for Mary Beth, who ruined her life and everybody around her.
Yeah, not so great with that one.
No, she fucked up a bit. So Alex tells Dean if he keeps thinking he can't catch a break, then he never will. To which Dean says, yeah, I know, I'm trying. So she tells him she has a feeling his luck is going to change soon. And he says, great, as long as it doesn't get any worse. So the theme, like the main point of this is that Dean wants to become lucky. But you can't just change your luck. That's not how it works. That's not luck. Luck is luck.
Yeah. Luck's not a thing anyway, so...
No, I guess
just
you're
stop
right,
being
yeah.
shit, Dean.
Okay, if you failed your test, you can't say it was because you were unlucky. It's because you just stood there and went to sleep while the test was going on.
Miss Crenshaw's not like rolling a dice on all of his answers like, oh, snake eyes. Sorry, Dean.
Natural one, Dean. You fucked up. F. We switch to a scene in world culture class, as Betty Ann tells us. The camera sweeps over some random just tidbits of junk. It's got like a dead scorpion on a picture frame, a little bust of some woman, and some rubble from a building or something. I don't know. It's world culture. Just a bunch of crap.
Just old stuff.
This time in class, they have a special guest, an archaeologist named Dr. Oliver. They don't ever show any other teachers, though, so I don't know. Okay, I'll get to it later.
Mm-hmm.
So an archaeologist named Dr. Oliver. And Dr. Oliver picks up a little sword artifact and tells us that archaeology is the study of historic or prehistoric people by analysis of their artifacts, scriptures, and monuments. And this is boring because we get a good look at the kids in the class and they all look both totally into it and bored out of their fucking minds. It's an incredible array of emotions. Dr. Oliver continues saying the work is often painstaking, but the results can take you on adventures that will stagger your imagination. Yeah. For instance, the high priest of Babylon used this golden dagger to cut out the hearts of slaves for their sacrifices. And the crowd almost looks interested. They give out like some moans or something. But I'm just thinking, like, how the fuck does this bitch have this priceless dagger? And she's playing around with it like it's just like a butter knife.
Yeah, she's just like some chick who goes around touring high schools and she's got the fucking diamonds of the pharaoh.
Yeah, she's got like the most priceless artifacts. And she's just waving them around, fucking probably dropping them on the ground. Like, whoops. Showing them off to high schoolers that could not give two shits. They don't fucking care. She puts the dagger back and grabs a bowl of salt, saying it was used as a weapon. That was used to ward off evil, sort of like garlic was used for vampires. And then the kids giggle about that one for a second. Then she grabs the staff that's wrapped up in this purple cloth, and as she takes the cloth off, she says that this little prize was recently excavated from an ancient Babylonian sorcerer's temple.
What I was thinking when she was talking about this is like, this is an archaeologist.
Yeah.
And she comes into high school and starts talking about vampires and sorcerers.
Yes.
Who let this woman in here? They should really check her credentials. If I had an archaeologist come into the school and she started talking about zombies and Frankensteins, I'd be like, who are you?
Well, they don't have any teacher in this room. When they say special guest, do they just mean special substitute teacher? Because they don't have a teacher for this world culture class. There's nobody else. The school's terrible.
Miss Crenshaw teaches all the classes at this school.
She's the only teacher that we see in this whole episode. And that's what I have a problem with. Well, I mean, besides a couple other things, but... Yeah, I completely agree with you. Who the fuck is this woman talking about vampires being an archaeologist?
She's just like bringing in Bigfoot footprints and like UFO parts. She's got her doctorate written in crayon.
All right, so this lady takes out the staff and she unwraps it from the purple cloth, and this staff is the staff that Jafar uses in Aladdin.
Yes.
That's what this thing is.
It is.
Aladdin came out like the same year.
When did Aladdin come out? Yeah.
Like 1991, I believe.
So they saw a trailer for that and said, make me one of those.
I mean, it's stupider. It has this big gaping open mouth, and it looks stupid. It looks like a frog's mouth.
The quality of it is really shitty when it's like close-ups of it. Yeah. Like it looks like it's just like made out of Play-Doh and
like paper
really
mache.
Sloppy.
It looks like garbage.
It doesn't look like it was formed out of solid gold.
No, not at all. This is seriously the staff that Jafar uses in Aladdin, though. It's a complete ripoff.
It is that.
And at this point, I didn't remember what this staff does, but I was not surprised if it had the same abilities as Jafar's staff, which it kind of does.
Yeah.
Alex asks if this thing belonged to a sorcerer, which Dr. Oliver just said.
No, it belonged to Jafar.
She just said that it did.
Yeah, nobody's listening.
Oh, I guess not. Everybody's checked out. Dr. Oliver says the inscriptions on the staff say that it belonged to the sorcerer Goth, a particularly nasty magician who enslaved thousands to do his evil bidding. Mm-hmm. The writings say following Goth will bring you incredible fortune and good luck. I don't know, lady. It kind of sounds like that Goth is a one-way ticket to becoming a slave, but who am I? The things that you just said are pretty contradictory.
That sounds like good luck to me. Slavery?
Yeah, that's the life. Crossing Goth will lead to your destruction. Dean looks pretty intrigued by all this because I think he heard that you will get good luck from this, and that's what he wants.
Yeah, he heard luck and his ears perked right up.
Yeah, because that's what he
like,
thinks.
What? Slave? Luck?
He's not okay with doing the work himself. He wants luck. He wants things to be handed to him.
Yeah. He did say he tried on that test, though.
Yeah, we've seen him try real hard.
He's just bad at it.
He didn't even pick up his pencil. He was just like laying there on his hand, staring at the test.
He just disintegrated all his classmates. He snapped his fingers, and everyone disappeared.
Dr. Oliver continues by ruining everything. She says that, but we don't believe in such silly things today, now do we? And Dean looks really pissed about that because he wants that sweet luck. He needs it. The scene changes back to the hallway as the bell rings. Alex and Dean walk out of the classroom, and Alex is mocking Dr. Oliver, saying, who would believe that shit? And Dean just says that he thought it was kind of cool. And this is where I thought Betty Ann was right, because they are total opposites. Mm-hmm. Alex is like, give me a break. She's just trying to make her boring ass job sound more interesting. And then she says she's got to go to the library and asks if Dean wants to come. And he says, nope, I got better things to do. And the team splits, and Dean walks right back into that classroom and looks over Dr. Oliver's shit. Dr. Oliver pops out, and they have a little one-on-one session because Dean's interests have peaked. She says unlocking the secrets of ancient civilizations has become a passion of hers. Dean thinks that's pretty cool, so he continues checking things out. Dr. Oliver says maybe she found another confidant, and that's what she's here for, which seems a little ominous. But at this point, I think she's the better of the two teachers that we've seen so far, even though she's just a special guest.
Yeah, I guess. She's like telling him to look at all the stuff, and she says, don't be afraid to touch, in a really suggestive manner.
Yeah, you're right, she does. Dean does just that, though, because Dr. Oliver walks away for a second, and Dean goes straight up to that cobra staff. He picks it up, and he lifts it up to his face and above, and looks into its eyes, which glow red, and he just keeps staring into it for some reason. And then the scene just changes, and we're walking down the hall. And I was like, Yeah, this is Jafar's staff. He just got mind controlled. What else could it fucking be, you know?
Yeah, just instant.
Like, it happens so quickly, too. It's like he's, like, super weak of will or something. I don't know.
Yeah, he's like, ooh, what's this? Oh, gotta do bidding for Goth.
Yes. So he's walking down the hallway. He reaches for a lock on a door and just, like, somehow opens it with no problem. He doesn't use a key or anything. He just, like, grabs it and pulls down on it, and then it's opened.
Yeah, I thought that was weird.
They never explain it, though. He doesn't get any powers or anything. I mean, not really.
No.
I don't know what it is. He can just open things. He's basically like Emma from Nightly Neighbors, like master of unlocking things. That's just Betty Ann. Like, Betty Ann's like, my main characters, they're always good at breaking into shit. So Dean opens up the door, and it takes him down some stairs. And obviously at this point, he's going to that fryer basket. You know, he wants into that sewage of the school.
Yum.
Yeah, who doesn't, though, right? He walks past the same stuff that the person did in the opening. You know, the room with all the fucking chairs and shit everywhere that aren't dusty or anything. Just nobody touched it yet. It's still, like, perfectly the way it was. I don't know. He makes his way into the room with that sewage pool of water in it. He grabs the chain. He starts lifting up the fryer basket with the stone in there, which has been sitting in sewage for, like, 25 years or whatever, but who knows? We don't even get a moment to comprehend what's happening, because then the scene shifts, and we're back in that fat bitch's chemistry class, and fat bitch don't look too happy about it. Somehow it's test day again. We just had a test
It's
like
just
yesterday.
always tests.
Always. All she does is test her children.
She's got 15 classes to teach that day. She doesn't have time to stand in front of the room and give lectures.
No.
She just gives them a test and moves on to the next class. She's like, look, I've got to go teach math, then history, then social studies.
That's all she does. She just pops into the room, says, here's your test, and then runs to her next class to go teach that.
She huffs and puffs to the next class.
So it's test day again, and we're showing Dean, who's sporting an all-black long-sleeve shirt.
Mm-hmm. That's how you know the darkness has taken over him.
Everyone around him starts the test, but Dean just grabs the paper and walks up to the teacher and hands her the test. She looks at it, she gets up, and she said,
Is this supposed to be funny?
Because the test is completely blank, but obviously it's going to be blank. She just handed the test out, and he got up and gave it back to her. Like, she studied that paper for a good, 3 seconds before getting up and being like, is this supposed to be funny, Mr. Dean? I don't remember your last name. It was stupid. Dean looks her in the eyes and says,
Is there a problem, Miss Crenshaw?
and the fat bitch gets intimidated, and she just says, no problem. Thank you, Mr. Burkham. And she puts the test down and she grades it as an A+.
Such a baller move.
Yeah, I guess. So is this trying to tell us that he has become Jafar's staff? That he can now mind control people?
I don't know. I guess.
Because at first I thought he was just being intimidated. You know, he's got this newfound sense of self-worth and jerkiness. He's essentially transcended and become the douchebag friend, right?
No, just staring at Miss Crenshaw has turned her into a disciple of Goth.
Yeah, I think that's what it's trying to tell us. Which,
yeah.
Spoilers, she does become a disciple of Goth, and I guess this is just showing us when it happened. I don't know. I don't fucking know. Some of the stuff in this episode
does Miss Crenshaw then have the ability to stare at people and turn them?
I don't know.
Is it just constantly everyone can infect everyone else with Goth? Or as Dean, being the Sorcerer's apprentice, only he has the ability?
I would think that's what it is that only he has the ability. But doesn't make any sense.
No.
The scene switches again, and at this point I'm like, God damn, this episode is going to give me fucking whiplash, because its scenes are just lightning fast. It's just next scene. It's ridiculous.
Dutch angle.
Yes. Hey there, everybody. Courtland here, your good buddy and your chemistry partner. Thank you so much for taking a listen to our latest episode covering the tale of the Sorcerer's Apprentice. This episode so far has been my favorite to record and edit, and I really hope that all of you are enjoying it just as much. If you have any questions about our podcast or any stories you'd like to share, we'd love to hear them. We plan on doing a mini Ask Me Anything section during our season finale episode, and while we've gotten a great turnout of questions so far, we'd always be happy to have some more. If you have any questions for either one of us, or even better, both of us, send them to us through email, privateislandpresents@gmail.com, DM them to us on Twitter @PRVTIsland, or send us a message on Instagram @PrivateIslandPresents. If you're loving the podcast and you know someone who you think would love it too, let them know about it. It's an easy and effective way for our podcast to grow. Brandon and I have some excellent ideas we'd love to implement, and we're looking forward to having a larger audience to roll out these ideas. Another quick and easy way to show a podcast creator that you care is by giving them a 5-star review on iTunes. Nothing would make a creator happier than seeing a new 5-star review. And trust me, I just recently got one and I was so happy and excited. I'd also like to let you know that we are part of an exciting podcast community on Discord, the Support Indie Podcast server for Discord. Whether you're a podcast creator like we are, or a listener looking for some new fun indie shows to listen to, I invite you to come in and check it out. There's a ton of excellent shows out there, and you can connect with the creators all in one place. If audio drama is your thing, check out Girl in Space, Oz 9, The Grey Rooms, Ninth World Journal, or any of the other audio drama rooms in the Discord channel. Honestly, there's something for everyone. If audio drama is not your thing, this Discord server still has you covered. It's got D&D Character Lab, How Are You Now, the Letterkenny podcast, Podcast Junkie, Three Spooked Girls, The Good Morning Guys. It's got it all, guys. So I'll leave a link in the description of the episode so you can take a look for yourselves. As always, I'd like to give a special thank you to All Hail the Badger for his work on the music for our podcast, and to Brandon for his artwork. Also, I'd like to apologize for accidentally calling Goth Garth. My bad. For now, I'll let you get back to the episode, and I'll talk to you all again on June 24th for our 10th episode covering the tale of Jake and the Leprechaun. Goodbye, everybody. Dean is strolling down the stairs as Alex catches up to him, and she asks him what the fuck was that all about? Why didn't you take that test? And he says,
I did take it. I aced it.
She doesn't believe him, which makes total sense, but at the bottom of the stairs, he whips around to look at her and says, what's the matter? Don't think I can ace a test? Or maybe you think I'm useless just like everybody else. And he starts advancing on her, and she's backing up, saying like, what? What's wrong with you? And once she's in the corner, he says, nothing's wrong with me. Everything is finally right, and I'm going to prove to everybody that I'm not a loser they think I am. It's a little bit creepy the way that he corners his best friend like that.
Yeah. So let me get this straight.
Okay.
Dean's plan to become cool.
Yes.
And accepted in school is to pass chemistry. That's his idea of being cool.
All they have for classes is chemistry and world culture doesn't even have a teacher. It has a special guest. He just wants to show everybody that he's not useless, and the best way to start that is to cheat and get perfect grades in chemistry. Betty Ann tells us that there was something wrong with Dean, and Alex knew it. He wouldn't talk to her and started hanging with a whole new group of kids. Then one day, things took a very strange turn. How long time-wise do you think has passed now?
A week?
A week. Okay, let's remember that.
Okay.
All right. So now we're back in chemistry class again, and Alex walks in alone. She unpacks her bags, and then Dean walks in with his new black leather coat. And I'm like, okay, this is starting to turn into some Spider-Man 3 kind of shit, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
If I had to sum up this story, it would be Jafar from Aladdin plus Spider-Man 3.
Mix those two together and you're not far off, yeah.
No, that's the story. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happens that's just pointless, but that's the story. Alex watches as Dean looks into a cabinet, and then he steals some chemicals, and he runs away as she's calling out to him. She looks into the cabinet to see what he stole, which turns out to be mercuric acid. Is that what it was?
That sounds rightish.
Yeah, I looked it up, and it's real, and it's basically just hydrochloric acid. So I want to call it hydrochloric, but I'm gonna call it mercuric because that's what they say in the show. Alex audibly wonders to herself what he would want with that acid instead of what the fuck. Obviously, he wants it to melt stuff. Duh. He's a fucking, teenage boy. He was gonna melt some shit with some acid. That'd be amazing.
There's so many uses for acid.
I know. You could melt a whole dead body. You could fucking pour it on some ants. You could summon goth, anything.
101 ways to use acid.
Yes. Also, at this point, I'm like, shouldn't there be a fucking lock on this cabinet of acid?
You'd think so.
I mean, I guess maybe there could have been, and Dean broke it open, but they didn't show that, so.
Or maybe there's no teachers in this school and no one is responsible for anything.
No, that's probably the likely answer. Alex just walks away from the cabinet, we assume to go follow her friend. And Dean is walking through the hallways to the door that he went down earlier, leads down to the sewage pit. Alex is clearly following him. They go down the stairs and we see all the random shit the school hides in its basement again. And Alex stumbles into a secret meeting being held by Dean to a bunch of other students. And they're all in black leather. Were they all in black leather coats? I think they were.
They're all in black.
Okay, so they're all in black. Hopefully they were in black leather coats. And if so, who the fuck bought those? Goth didn't. Who paid for all those black leather coats?
Yeah, Goth ain't giving them shit.
Oh. The Cobra staff is there too. And Dean says some bullshit and sprinkles down some acid on a plant and calls it Nightshade. Which, I don't know if he says it at this point, but it's belladonna leaves. And I looked it up, and those are Nightshade. So he throws that down and says that it creates some mystic vapors. So these kids are just hotboxing some mystic vapors in the school basement. What?
The whole thing's dumb.
It's so stupid. It's such a stretch. I don't get it. There could have been any other way to summon Goth. But no, you have to mix acid with Nightshade to create mystic vapors. So no, they're not hotboxing mystic vapors. Dean says the return of Garth is at hand as he stares into the vapors. And then Alex does the generic shit where she accidentally drops her bag or something on the ground, and they do the classic like getting found while you're supposed to be hiding. Dean snaps his head in her direction and then commands his small student army to go get her, and they get up out of their chairs and then they do that. So it's showing that Dean has control over these kids. The part that I don't get with all this is like he's got control of all of these random kids. Why didn't he take control of Alex first? Wouldn't that make the most sense?
Yeah. He shows later that he at least has enough presence of mind to still think of her as a friend and not want to just attack her, I guess.
Yeah, you're right. That does happen. Okay, so maybe he's still Dean in there, but also he has control of the student body.
Yes, he has control of Miss Crenshaw. He's got all of the staff.
All of the students, all of the staff. They're all his. Alex immediately gives all those kids the slip and doubles back toward Dean. And this was the part where she ran through like the area with pipes that reminded me of the first Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
Mm-hmm. It reminded me of the end of Portal.
Yeah, you're right. It did look like that too. So Alex gives these kids a slip, doubles back towards Dean, who has taken the stone from the fryer basket out of a leather pouch, which I don't know where they got the leather pouch because I'm pretty sure in 1966 the person just put the stone in the fryer basket, but whatever. He slides the stone, which is more of a ball, into the mouth of the snake staff, and its eyes and the stone ball glow red. Alex doesn't like the look of that as she like watches on. She's just like getting more and more pissed. And Dean gets on his knees and says, "Welcome, Goth, ruler of the Nether Realms," as a face can be seen in the mystic vapors. It's like a floating head.
Yeah, he's like a lame-looking Zordon from Power Rangers, motherfucker.
Yeah.
He's like, slaves!
Well, you know what? He got a bunch of teenagers with attitude.
I need high schoolers with attitude.
Goth says... This is where the episode gets really wordy, is when Goth is introduced. He talks a lot. Goth says, "I have waited centuries for an apprentice such as you, young one." To which Dean responds,
The acolytes have been gathered. We are ready.
Then Goth says, "There is one final task that needs to be performed before I am freed from this infernal dimension of darkness. And the task is that he has to prepare the cauldron and unleash the mystic vapors before the moon rises tonight." He just did that, did he not?
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what he just did. Get the hell out of there, Goth.
Get out of your infernal dimension of darkness.
Yeah, we're done. Come take over Earth. We did it.
Yeah, he just made the Mystic Vapors. I don't know. It was stupid. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Goth tells him that if he does this, then he gets everything he wants, and Goth himself gets all of the powers of the universe. And then they laugh a bunch.
What does Dean want? Is Goth gonna do his homework for him?
He wants luck. I think he wants what he has right now, which is being a badass.
All right. Well,
and also
mission successful, I guess.
He doesn't want to do any of his homework. He wants to just intimidate Miss Crenshaw day after day with every assignment to get a A+. So Alex knocks over some shit again, and Goth looks over her way, but he can't move his head because he's just a floating holographic head. So he just like looks her way with his eyes. It's really funny. Tells Dean to stop her. So Alex is running back up the stairs, through the alleyway, and into a classroom calling for Dr. Oliver. But fat bitch Miss Crenshaw walks out and says she's gone. She says that Dr. Oliver left yesterday. And that's why I asked you, how long do you think it's been? You think it's been a week? Because I agree with that. What kind of special guest is there for a whole fucking week? That's stupid.
They don't have anyone else. They needed her.
Well, Miss Crenshaw says that she went off to another school to do the same thing, talk about her Babylonian artifacts or whatever.
Yes, talk about leprechauns and ghosts.
Yeah, the Tooth Fairy, fucking Santa Claus.
Archaeology stuff.
Yeah, classic archaeology stuff. Fatty asks Alex if there's anything she can do for her, and Alex sits down and explains to the Crenshaw that something weird's going on, and it has to do with that scepter thing that Miss Oliver brought, that it's got Dean hypnotized or something. Miss Crenshaw just says, "Relax, child. There's no reason to be alarmed." And then she says, "Join us. Join Garth." And Alex runs away, and Fatty smiles and then laughs like Roseanne. This is like one of the worst acted scenes I think I've ever seen in my whole life.
Is this the one you were talking about with the bad acting?
Well, yeah, Dean also gives some very bad acting, but the way that she walks up to Alex, like she smiles like she's fucked this scene up like multiple times. Like she's like she bursts out laughing before she gets to the part where she's supposed to be laughing, and they just were like, okay, this is the best one, Crenshaw. You're fucking out of the show anyway, so we're just gonna use this one. She's a bad actress, and she should feel bad. Alex books the fuck out of there and runs through the hallways of the school, but then she gets surrounded by just some classmates that are all dressed in black, and she walks through a door into the auditorium where Dean is sitting up on a stage, and he says, "Hello, Alex. Don't be scared. It's only me." And Alex says, "I am scared. What the fuck is going on around here? What are you doing?" And Dean tells her that she called it. He finally got his luck. It changed. He isn't getting dumped on anymore. He's in charge, and he likes it.
Who is dumping on him?
Nobody.
Nobody talks to him.
Nobody talks except for him and Alex and Crenshaw. None of the classmates talk at all, I don't think. I don't know. All of the classmates are stupid, and I don't know. So who cares if you're getting dumped on or anything? His motivation is stupid. He says, "Goth is giving me power, and I'm using it to bring him back." And Alex says that Goth is a monster, and Dean gets right up in her face, and he does this cool, he like circles around her, and it's got some pretty nice camera work where the camera like follows, and it's very fluid. It looks nice. He tells her, "Well, look what Goth has done. I'm popular now and in charge. They take my orders, even the teachers." Alex tries to get Dean back on her side with some of that best friend love, which should work. And it seems to work for a moment. He blinks a few times. So he says, "You're my best friend, and that's why I'm going to let you go. Now, don't get in my way." And he turns back towards her and says, "It doesn't matter anyway because you're going to be one of us soon enough." Alex chases after Dean, but he's already in with his new bike gang buddies as they roll out of there on their bicycles.
On their intimidating-looking bicycles.
He's like, "Come on, gang.
We are the army of the evil nether realm. We're riding Schwinns."
Like they got a card in their spokes and stuff.
They got Pee-wee's bike, and they're like, "We're evil."
The next scene, it's night, and Alex has somehow found where the biker gang kids' hangout is. It doesn't say how she found it, but
it doesn't make any sense.
I don't know how she found it, but she did. And they're moving this acid, right? But then she gets confronted by two of the kids, and they take her to their leader.
Of course she gets confronted. She either makes a sound or gets caught. She is the worst fucking eavesdropper ever.
She is. She's not Harry at the Spy because she gets
Definitely
caught.
not.
And taken over to Dean, who's dishing out orders to these kids until he's interrupted by Alex being dragged over. She asks again if he's crazy, and Dean says, I gave you one chance to escape. I won't give you another, even though he told her it didn't matter anyway, but meh. He tells his goons to put her in the van, which we never get to see the inside of the van. How do they have a van?
They're riding bikes around, and they have a van?
Yeah.
Whose van is it? Is it Goth's?
It's probably Miss Crenshaw's van. That's the only adult that's left in the story.
That's true.
Is it Goth's? We get a Midnight Society interlude where Frank says, excellent, they're going to boil her and that stuff, referring to the acid. And Kiki says, what is it? Whatchamacallit acid? Normally, I put down that's typical stupid Kiki, but I kind of agree with her. Like, what was that fucking acid again, Betty Ann?
Yeah.
She corrects it. She says mercuric acid. Eric says he hates chemistry, even though you don't take chemistry until you're in high school, and you're clearly in elementary school, but whatever. And Gary gets clarification that the acid has to do with the mystic vapors. It combines with the belladonna leaves to make the mystic vapors. And Betty Ann says, maybe Alex's back might have been in a corner, but she was resourceful. And then we continue the story. She's not really that resourceful, though.
No, she hasn't been shown to be.
No, she's good at getting captured. That's not quite resourceful, though.
She's good at getting chased.
Yeah. So back in the story, we're shown a bunch of barrels with just a big old skull and crossbones on it. I'm assuming it's the acid in there. What else could it be? The student body goons are pushing them somewhere as Alex is being dragged along, asking where the fuck we're going. And Dean says, there's a place in the school not many people know about. It's been closed off for more than 25 years. They say a girl went mad in there. She even broke into the school. The guards chased her all over. When they found her, she was down here totally out of her mind. The room has been sealed off ever since, until tonight, that is. He got the key from the security guard, who was one of them, even though we never see the security guard. It's the perfect place to make our cauldron of mystic vapors. Why? We have no idea. It's just a fucking empty pool, and they have, less than a gallon of acid.
I was surprised when they were like, oh, there's this room they sealed off. I expected it to be like a little maintenance closet, but it's like a giant swimming pool? No school's just gonna close that off and be like, nah, we don't want that.
Remember that, Brandon. I don't know why they have to do this in an empty pool, but I'm not goth, so...
I could do it in a bathtub.
Yeah, right? Or the fact that they already did it? I don't know.
Yeah.
The kids walk in as Alex tries to tell Dean to stop. Dean sets the Cobra Scepter up again, placing the ball in its mouth. It glows red. Dean jumps on a stage of sorts and says the time has come. First, we need the pathway. And then some kids struggle to dump the acid barrels into the empty pool. There's 2 acid barrels. This is a gigantic swimming pool that's completely empty. So they put, nothing into it.
Yeah, it's not even going to cover the bottom of the pool.
Not at all.
It's going to create a couple puddles.
Yes. Maybe. But anyway, these kids are having a hard time with this, so Dean commands the 2 kids that are holding on to Alex to go and help out, which is complete rookie evil villain mistake. But then Alex immediately tries to run away, but the door is locked, which I found that to be really odd behavior for Alex, because she's been pretty adamant about stopping Dean this whole time, but then she, for whatever reason, decides to just try to run away from this whole situation. I don't get it.
Yeah. I mean,
it was really out of character.
She doesn't want to see the vapors.
Who would really want to inhale vapors made from hydrochloric acid mixed with deadly nightshade? That cannot be good for your health.
No, I can't imagine it's great for you.
No, it's probably instant, fucking liquefied lungs or something. It's like mixing ammonium with bleach. Dean taunts her, saying that she's been so curious this whole time, I thought you'd want to stay for the main event. And then he commands his goons to open up the barrel and pour the acid in. He says some shit about how his master will be there soon, and then he grabs a trash bag that's full of these belladonna leaves, and is about to throw them into the acid, but Alex runs over to the Cobra Scepter and says, Dean, stop it or I'll smash it. And he says, too late, but she grabs the ball out of the Cobra Scepter, and all of the slave kids just fall over, which doesn't make any sense to me. Why would they slump over when it was removed? Because it's most of the time it's not even in there in the first place. But he still had control over them. It doesn't make any sense.
And the staff took control of Dean without the ball.
Yeah, I don't get it. And why didn't Dean get slumped over like that? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. Alex looks surprised at all of this, and Dean says,
I told you too late. I'm far too powerful now.
And then he dumps the leaves into the acid and says, Mystic vapors.
I've done it. Rise, mighty Goth. Your apprentice calls to you.
His voice, like, gets deeper when he says that.
Yeah.
He's like, the vapors, I've done it.
I'm like, dude, you've made these vapors before. Like, why are you so excited about that?
I don't know.
This isn't the first
it
time
doesn't
you've made
make any
Mystic vapors.
sense. You did this already. We've done this scene.
Yes. You're just doing it in a bigger way, I guess, but...
A stupider way. He had a cauldron.
Out of the Mystic vapors, Goth's face can be seen, and I thought he looked kind of cool.
He looks like Xerxes from 300.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he? He then says a bunch of shit that I didn't write down because I had no idea what he was said, and I was completely fucking checked out of this episode. So we're just going to grab the clip, and we're going to edit it in right here, okay?
All right. Yeah.
Alex is just kind of staring at him while he's talking about this, backing up against the wall, and she says, no, go back, and throws the ball into the Mystic vapors, which the vapors glow red for a second, and Dean is thrown back against a wall for some reason, and Goth points at Alex and says, you are the one who interferes. You must be eliminated. Alex calls out to Dean for help, and Dean shakes his head and says, Alex, what's going on?
So is Dean back to normal at this point?
Yes, I guess so.
Okay.
But not all the way, because he tries running to Alex, but Goth points at him with his finger, and it immobilizes Dean, which he then tells Alex that he can't move. And I don't know why that is. I'm going to assume that there's still like a little bit of Goth's influence inside of Dean. Goth then floats up out of the Mystic vapors and tells Alex how she should be honored to be the first victim of his reign. Dean tells Alex to use the chlorine. Oh, I forgot to mention that. There's a barrel of chlorine just sitting over there that Alex looked at for a second. Dean tells Alex to use the chlorine, so she runs over to a big old tub of the stuff, while Goth tells her not to fear, that the pain won't last long, and Dean tells Alex to pour the chlorine into the pool, so she opens the lid of this barrel of chlorine and dumps it into the empty pool, even though, one, why is there chlorine there in an empty pool that hasn't been opened for 25-ish years? And number two, why was there only a half a barrel full of chlorine in there? That was like a dribble of chlorine. Doesn't make any sense.
That's why it was sitting there all that time. There wasn't any in there, so they were just like, not taking care of that.
Let's just be lazy. We'll just leave it here. Alex dumps in the chlorine and Goth mocks her at first, saying,
Your human science has no hope of... What is happening? The Nightshade... It's...
I love this part. He's like, your human science will not... Oh shit, what's this?
oh fuck, what's happening?
He's like, your human science will... What? Oh fuck.
What the...
What the hell?
The Nightshade. It's... No! And then Goth... Then he falls backwards into the empty pool and literally explodes.
Shittiest evil god ever.
He didn't do anything. He didn't get to do a single
fucking
thing.
jack shit. His evil reign lasted like 2 seconds. He hypnotized a few high school students for like a day.
He created a biker gang. And then
he's
fell
been
back
waiting
and exploded.
Like the 8 centuries for this.
Yeah, probably should have thought that plan through a little better. Because this chlorine mixes with the plant matter, and he falls back and he explodes, and sparks just shoot everywhere, and the smoke just flows up to the ceiling, and he's dead.
If he would have just come back the first time he made the deadly vapors, like,
This wouldn't have happened.
He probably would be in control of the universe right now, but instead he's blown up.
Oh my god. The kids under the spell all wake up wondering what fucking happened, and Dean looks at Alex and says, I'm sorry. It was like he had control over me.
Yeah, Alex told him that like 5 times.
Yeah, I know, and he had enough sense to like spare her before, so why didn't he just trust his best friend? But stupid. So she says, yeah, I know, but how did you know the chlorine would stop him? Dean says it was on Crenshaw's chemistry exam, which is the most unlikely fucking explanation I've ever heard.
I like audibly groaned when that happened.
She taught that mercuric acid mixed with belladonna leaves, aka nightshade, creates mystic vapors that bring back the dead who can only be destroyed with chlorine. That was the exam question.
Yeah, so Betty Ann gets shit on for her stories having happy endings. So she tells the Nightly Neighbors story, where it doesn't have a happy ending because presumably everyone gets eaten by vampires.
No, everybody just gets tired.
Everybody gets very, very tired, which is a horrible ending.
Yeah.
Then her next story, she comes back, or the moral of the story is stay in school, kids?
I guess so, yeah.
What the hell is she doing?
I don't know. I mean, at least Dean learned something, I guess, in chemistry. I don't know. Who knows? He says chlorine kills bacteria, and the leaves were organic, so I figured it would zap him. I guess he was right? I mean...
I guess? I don't fucking know.
By that logic, I'm organic. If I touch chlorine, I'm gonna explode.
Yes. That is why I told you to stay out of pools.
I want to go swimming so bad, though.
No, you'll explode, Courtland.
It's worth it. If we don't have an episode of our podcast next week, it's because I exploded.
Yeah.
Alex laughs at his stupidity, and Dean joins in. She says, yeah, I guess you were, right. Welcome back. Then she gives him a hug, and the two walk out of the room, not giving two fucking shits about all the other kids.
No.
They're slumped over like they were dead. But then they shuffle. I didn't expect them to actually show the other kids. I thought they were just going to ignore them. But they get up and they shuffle away. As the camera pans over, and we're seeing that they also didn't give a shit about that Cobra scepter they left there. Out walks Miss Oliver to say, I'm afraid we failed. But I planted jewels in high schools all over the country. We'll have another chance. And to think, when I was a young girl, they thought I was mad. She laughs about it, and then she shows her Cobra tattoo to nobody because everybody left the room. And she was the one at the beginning of the episode the whole time who had the fryer basket, and they put the stone in the sewage system of the school. She puts the ball back into the Cobra's mouth, even though that should have been fucking sitting in acid and nightshade at the bottom of the pool. The scepter staff's eyes glow red, and that's the end of the episode.
Was the doctor the one that Dean was saying a girl went crazy there a long time ago?
And that's a problem. Yeah, because at the beginning of the episode, we're clearly shown that she makes it out of the school because her shadow runs across the front of the school. So she made it out. I don't know what he's talking about, where she got stuck in that room and they found her and she went mad. Also, why did she go mad? Because they didn't have the scepter, because she said that they just recently excavated out the scepter. Plot holes, Betty Ann, you gotta fix your shit.
Talking about this episode has made me like it less than when I watched it.
Me too.
Why high schools? Why does this have to be done through high schools?
I don't know. So this episode doesn't have a happy ending, I guess. But also I didn't feel any sense of dread because this plan worked out so terribly and was so easily destroyed this time. What's going to stop it from another just kid being smart enough to pour some fucking chlorine on a fucking Babylonian sorcerer?
His plans must have been failing for hundreds of years.
Well, at least the past 25 when she went across all these schools and put the stones in the sewage system. I mean, this can't be the first attempt that they've made.
No.
Well, maybe it is if they just recently excavated out the scepter. I don't know.
He's been trying this for centuries, and everyone always figures out. The science saves the day every time.
But, okay, so he got revived, and he died again immediately. Does that mean that he just goes right back to the infernal dimension of darkness? And they just get to try again?
I guess.
So there's no loss on their side whatsoever?
No.
That's ridiculous.
He just gets to keep trying until someone.
Until it fucking works and he gets to rule the universe.
Yeah.
It's like a video game where he's the good guy and he just gets to keep trying when he fails. Cutting back to the Midnight Society, David says he smells a sequel, which, God, I hope not.
Seriously.
I don't think that there is one. Eric agrees, saying, yeah, the world's doomed. And Gary says, well, on that cheerful note, I declare the meeting of the Midnight Society closed. He dumps the water on the fire. All the kids get up, and the camera looms at the skull head from the beginning of the episode, and then it's just, the episode's over.
Yeah, they always have a little chats in the middle of the episode that are totally pointless.
Yeah.
But as soon as the story's over, they want nothing to do with it. They don't want to discuss it. They're just like, yep, we're out of here.
Well, world's doomed. See ya.
Yep.
The Tale of the Sorcerer's Apprentice. Do you think that name was pretty good? I thought at least they say it, I guess. I don't know. I think we could probably come up with some better names for that, though.
I think a more appropriate name would be The Tale of the Sorcerer's Apprentice, brought to you by the Canadian Department of Education.
The Tale of the Mystic Vapors.
The Tale of the One Teacher.
The Tale of Lacking School Funding. Can we talk about that Mystic Vapor again real quick, though?
Always.
Oh, that is... high school kids fucking inhaling vapors. That can only correlate to weed, right?
The whole thing is like an allegory for like, don't mess with drugs, don't be a goth, and focus on your homework because it might just save your life.
It's like the tale of the PSA or something. All right, I've had enough of this episode. Well, let's see what's going on next. The next episode, Brandon, is called The Tale of Jake and the Leprechaun. What you think
Really?
that's going to be about? Yes.
Is that really the title?
Yeah. Who do you think gives this tale, and what do you think it's going to be about?
Wow.
It's a tough one.
Jeez, this sounds like an Eric.
Yep, I agree. I think it sounds like an Eric one to me, too. We don't even know what Eric says, like what his tales are even about.
I'm going to say
Yeah.
that a 12-year-old boy,
What do you think his name is?
Toby.
Okay.
So Toby buys, let's say, a dresser from an antique dealer.
Okay.
You know, just 12-year-olds antique shopping.
Yeah, he got all of his lunch money saved up for this dresser. Continue.
And he comes home and he opens it up
Yeah.
and he discovers that there's a leprechaun inside.
Classic.
And the leprechaun demands 4-leaf clovers.
Okay.
And he says if Toby can't find any, then he's going to kill his whole family.
Oh, that sounds pretty dark. I'm looking forward to seeing if that's what it's about or not, because I don't remember anything about this episode, because I think it was another one where I fucking turned the channel.
I'm going to say I don't want to judge the episode, but based on the title,
Shouldn't do that.
I judge it to be shit.
I'm hoping it's not, because we haven't had a really good episode since, like, The
We're
Lonely
due for
Ghost.
one.
We are, but I don't want to give you any spoilers, but one of my favorite episodes is coming up real soon. So
All right. That's exciting.
we have things to look forward to. Oh my gosh, Brandon. I've been up all night inhaling mystic vapors. I am so ready for bed. This hydrochloric acid and nightshade just kicks you in the butt. Makes you gotta go to bed. I'm tired though. I'm going to bed.
All right.
All right.
Good night.
I'll talk to you next week, okay?
Yeah.
For the tale of Jake and the Leprechaun.
Ugh.
Good night.
Bye.
See you later, guys. Bye.
See ya.
Is this supposed to be funny?